Hi my friends, welcome back to another video. It's me, Teresa. It has turned cold here in Alabama, so I'm drinking a cup of warm English breakfast tea and I'm all set to show you how to join our squares and to create the border. While I enjoy all parts of crocheting this throw, the joining and the border are like getting to decorate with icing on the cake. Come join me in some relaxing crochet time. We have all of our squares and now we're ready to join them. This is a very relaxing, easy join. It's called the invisible join, though I myself didn't find it truly invisible. I found it a little bit more lacy, which actually I enjoyed because it fit well with the Victorian theme style. All we need is a yarn needle and our scissors and the yarn and of course some squares. I'm going to be using a neutral color today so it shows up really well. This is not the same square, so I'm going to try not to show it too much because it's an upcoming project. But this is the exact same size square, and so it will all work out the same. But it is a neutral color, and I thought that would show it better on camera and show you what the not truly invisible join looks like on this project. So that is what we need. Okay, so let's get started. I like to keep my squares when I'm in the middle of a project. I keep them all stitch marked together. It just makes it easier for me to kind of keep track of them. I do them in bundles of 5. But today I have 4 here for this project because I want to show you how to join them. I want to show you how to join the corners, and I want to show you how to do a border around it. So we're going to make a real quick, cute little pillow topper. Okay, so let's start. You don't need a lot of yarn for this join. Because I did all of mine, did all my horizontal rows first and then my vertical rows. And so, but you're going to pull your yarn really tight when you get to the ends. So don't, and it gets cumbersome if you get too much. But I think about 2 feet is good. I'm just going to go with this little bit today because we're doing a sample here. Take that out of the way. I'm going to get my yarn needle. Okay. Scissors away for now. Got our yarn needle. We're going to thread our needle. Like I said in the opening, this is like icing the cake for me. This is the fun part. It's like you have all these squares and now you get to put them together and it's just so exciting. So we're doing the invisible join. Okay, so I learned to quilt before I ever learned to crochet. And so with quilt, when you're working with material, a lot of times, anytime sewing, you're going to put right sides together. And so right sides is just the pretty side. Now you will notice, even though I'm trying not to show these squares too much, I have taken care of all my ends because I learned on this project, do my ends as soon as I'm done with the square. And so it was a hard lesson for me to learn and it was embarrassing. I have a video and there's all kinds of ends hanging out, but lesson learned. So now when I do my squares, I immediately go ahead and do my ends. And so you're going to take, you can see this, you can kind of see, this is the back side of your yarn, but normally you'll have a tail hanging out. So that kind of helps too. So what you're going to do is you take your 2 right sides, which are pretty sides, and you're going to lay them together. The right side touching a right side. The pretty side touching a pretty side. And you're going to lay them together. And sometimes I will, if I'm doing a row, I like to take my my stitch marker, and so like I'm doing this whole row, I'll lay them all right side together and I'll go ahead and pin them in the corners. It just helps it, you know, so as I'm going, it's sort of seamless. I can just pick up the next 2 and travel right along. And so that's kind of what I like to do. All right. Okay, so another thing to know is that when you have lined up your squares, all your stitches should match up. And you should have the same number of stitches, you know, if you follow the pattern, and you want them to match up. And so that also kind of helps you keeping your corners together, but keeping yourself knowing that all your stitches are lined up with each other. Because with this join, you're not working underneath the stitches, you're working within the stitches. And so this is it's very important to have all your stitches lined up. Okay, so we're going to begin the invisible join. And like I said, you're working in your stitches. And so what you're going to do, in this square, there are two chains to make the corner. And this one that we did was 3. And so what I did is you're going to come over, let's see what I'm doing here. You're going to find one of the chains. You're going to go up underneath it, and you're going to go over here, the same chain, and go up underneath it and pull that through. Don't pull it all the way through, because that is your end that you're going to secure at the end of the row. And what you'll do before you secure that is you're going to pull it really tight to pull all your stitches tight. And I'll show you how to do that. Now, a lot of times, because I was a sewer first, I would automatically want to cross over, do the cross. You're not doing a crossover. You're doing it on the same exact side. You're going to find the stitches furthest away from you and closest to you. So I let a lot of people call them back and front, and I think that can get very confusing. So for me, I go the stitch that's furthest away from, the loop that's furthest away from me, and the loop that's closest to me. So you're going to go up underneath the loop furthest away from you and the loop closest to you and go right through there. And you're always working on the side that you just came through. So now it would be this next one here. So the stitch furthest, and sometimes you got to squeeze it, you squeeze it to get your V's to pop up. And then you go stitch closest to me, stitch furthest from me, and pull through. And this is all you're doing. I mean, this is it. I've showed you the first 3 seconds of the video. This is it. But make sure your stitches are lined up. Make sure you continue working on the side that you just pulled out. Go to the stitch for the loop furthest from you, and the loop closest to you, and you pull through. So, same side, stitch closest to you, stitch furthest from you. All right. We're going to do one more, just because I want to make sure you can see. Same side, stitch furthest from you, stitch closest to you. Pull right through there. Okay, so now you can pull it tight. Let me show you. I get excited about this. As you can see, I used a high contrast yarn because I wanted you to be able to see how it can disappear if you pull it really tight, but it doesn't truly disappear. Now, in my blanket, I used a cream color, and I could have done that, but I wanted you to be able to see in this tutorial that you have to pull it really tight and use a color that might blend in with a little bit more, and then you might get a truly invisible seam. Ophelia Talks Crochet has an invisible seam that I think is really invisible, and it folds up the seams like this, and I probably will do that in my next project. But I wanted to show you in this one how it does make a very pretty seam, but it gives it a little bit of laciness if you don't pull it tight enough, or use a coordinating yarn. And so you will keep doing that all along until you get to your corner, and then I'll show you what to do. Okay, so here I am. I'm on the last one of my double crochets on this row, and I'm going to be at my chain space. And so on this one, I like to go through, same thing, same side, go in the middle of your chain just like when we began. This yarn is splitting a little bit, so I gotta be careful with it. Go through your chain, and you'll have 3 on the Victorian lattice square, so we go through 3 of them. So you're going to go through all the chains on this corner, and then you're ready to connect to your next 2 squares. And so you're going to start, remember you come out on this side, so you're going to start on this side. You're going to pick up your next 2 squares. You're going to go into the very first chain, not the double crochet. Make sure it's the chain in the chain space. And you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to pull it nice and tight. And so when you come back to do your horizontal lines or your next line, see, I'm just going to, it's going to pull these corners so beautifully tightly together. Now this is not a very, but here I can kind of show you there. There we go. So you'll see, let me not pull out my, so as you pull this tight, I don't want to pull my string out. It's pulling all of these corners, the seams, so nicely together. So now you're just going to continue doing exactly what you were doing. Whatever side you came out on is the side you go in, with the right sides facing each other, with the loop closest to you and furthest from you. You're just going to keep on stitching. All right, so we finished this way. Now we're going to go this way, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just put our right sides together. We're going to come over here and start in our corner where our chains are. We're going to go in the center of the chain, in the center of the chain. Make sure all your stitches line up. Pull through, but don't pull the end through. And then the stitch closest to you and the stitch furthest away from you is what you're working with. You're working on the same side you just came out of. And I know that I repeat myself a lot, but that's because this is to be a tutorial, and it is to hopefully remind you and teach you. So stitch same side, stitch furthest away from me, stitch closest to me. Obviously, I listen to feedback, and I get a lot of feedback that I repeat myself a lot. So I try to cut it down, but it's also, you know, sometimes you just got to be you and do what you do. But anyway, you're going to do the exact same thing, and I'm going to do this all the way here to the corner just to kind of show you how to secure up those corners really well. I'll meet you right here. Okay, so I'm coming up on my last double crochet here before we get into the corner. There it is. See, it's pulled a little bit. So that's why I wanted to show you, because so this one is pulled a little bit because that corner that way is already secure, so it's pulled in a little bit, so it looks like I would go into that one, but see, that one's already coming out of there, so it's this one. And then I got to make sure I'm going furthest from me. There we go. Got all kinds of strings going here. I left a tail. It decides to keep getting on my nerves. Okay, so here, what I like to do is go back and then, you know, kind of make it lay down to make sure, okay, where am I? So here's the one that I need to do next. And then this is really something I learned from Anya's channel, Ophelia Talks Crochet, is she would connect a lot of times to the opposite corner. And so what I'm going to do here is kind of, see, here's my chain that's not connected to anything. It's just kind of loosey-goosey. And there's the other one. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go across. And see, there's that one's coming out of that. And so I'm going to go across, and this is just for my corner. I'm going to try to figure out which one I want to secure it in. I think I'm going to go right here into that one. And then I'm going to pull that nice and tight. I have too many strings and now I'm bumping the camera. Okay. So then, same side. So you're going to go right back to this next one. See, this one facing away from me. See, it's just twisted. So you just got to, and then here, they facing away from me. Just going right through there. And that just gives your corners a real tight joint. And you definitely want that, because when you start pulling and doing all this, it'll just make your squares lay not nice and flat. On this one, I let them have way too much give. And so it almost sort of pulls apart, see? Because I was afraid to have too much tension in it. And so, lesson learned, you want a little bit of tension and let it ease out over time, not begin with such looseness. Okay, so just always make sure, see, there's my first double crochet. There's my first double crochet. I'm only working in those chain spaces right here, right here. Come out on this side, stitch closest to me, stitch furthest from me. And you just keep going. And I will meet you at the end. That is all you need to know about how to do the invisible join. And I will meet you at the end, and we'll start on the border. Time to make our border. Okay, so you could do as many as you want rows. I did 5, and then I did this little trim on the end. But like I said, you could do as many rows as you want. And I'm kind of take you through my design process of how I create a border sort of creatively. You know, I learned this from Ophelia Talks Crochet from Anya. And so I'm going to be using these 4 colors. And the way that I do it allows me to sort of test out my border before I fully commit to it. And so I'll just start with the first color. Okay, so you make a slip knot. However you make one is fine. Attach that to your hook. I'm using a 4mm hook, the same that size that I used for the blanket. And now we're going to start with a standing stitch. And I always like to start in the corner. And so I always start right there. You're going to make a corner just like you did before. So double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we'll do another one. This corner is 2 double crochets and 2 chains. The Victorain lattice blanket is 2 double crochets, 3 chains. And so we're only going to do 2 for this sample one here. And now 2 more double crochets. Okay, and so now we're going to skip 2. So we're going to skip this one, and then the third one we're going to do what we've learned from Ophelia Talks Crochet, the dainty clusters. We're going to put 2 double crochets in the third stitch. So skip 2 and then do a dainty cluster, which is 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Now we're going to skip 2 again. 1, 2, 2 double crochets in the third one. So a dainty cluster. And this is honestly how we will go all the way around the blanket, skipping 2, doing a dainty cluster in the third one. And I'll show you what we do when we come to the joins, but you're just going to keep skipping 2 and make it a dainty cluster. And like I said, I'm not going to go all the way around this because I want to show you how I pick out my colors and how I kind of do it without having to commit everything. You know, once you go a whole row, you're fully committed. And so I like doing it this way so that I can kind of test out the colors to make sure they go well together. And like I said, you can do 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, whatever you want to complete the blanket for you. But right now you're just doing dainty clusters all across. And we're almost to the end here. I want to show you what I do when 2 squares meet. Every time you get to a corner, you put a corner in, but not where the squares meet. I'll show you what we're going to do. I like to make sure that my count is right. So here we have our last 2, and then we'll be into that corner. And we're just going to do a dainty cluster right into there. Oh, messed up. Let me start again. See, skip my 2. We're going to do a dainty cluster right here. 1 and 2. And see, I haven't secured my stitches yet, so it's a little loose there. But I'm just going to reach right over into the very next square and do in the corner and do a dainty cluster. And then I'll just keep going right across. And see, when I'm secured this, it'll all pull together. And this is only this first round do you have to count and make sure that you're skipping. Now, you can do whatever number you want to do, but just remember, if you do too many, like if you don't skip enough, your border can become wavy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you now what I do. See, I don't go all the way. I go ahead and start another color. Because you can add on and start. It's only the first one that you have to count. So you can always add other colors. And so, of course, I did another slip knot. I'm going to start again with a standing stitch in the corner. Here we go. So start with 2 double crochets. And chain 2. And 2 more double crochets. And now all you have to do is put dainty clusters in the spaces, which is so easy. It's so mindless, and I just really enjoy doing borders. They might be my favorite part, to be honest. But you just go into the space, you do your dainty cluster, and I do almost half a row. Sometimes I do a whole square, and then I start again because I like to really see. Because sometimes I put colors together and they just don't look too nice together, and I don't know until I see it in the project. I'm a very visual person, and so we're going to do a few more. See, I just, this is how I see, oh, is this working? Is this a good color with this? You know, is this giving me the look that I want? And so I like to play with it without being fully committed to it yet. And so I'm going to do a few more just to give myself plenty of room. But this is all you're doing. The first row is you're skipping 2 and doing a dainty cluster in the third and making a corner when you come to a corner. And then on the next row and all the other rows, you're doing the exact same thing. You're just putting the dainty clusters into these spaces. And then when you come to a corner, you make a corner. And when you come to your squares, they're already joined by your clusters that you just did, your dainty cluster. So you just put a dainty cluster in the space. Okay, see? Look at that. Okay, so here, this is going to be, you can see I'm just using scrap yarn today. I thought these blues are pretty, so I'm going to go ahead and start another one. Of course, slip the knot again. Oh, wait, you know what? I think I want to go ahead and put one there so you can see what I do when I come to that space. And it really is as simple as that. You just put a dainty cluster in that space. And then you're going to continue going all the way around. I pull up my loops pretty big so that I can find it and find my loop easily and my stitches don't pull out. Start with another slip knot, another standing crochet. I like to start them all in the corner because then I'll be coming around now ending there in the corner. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 more double crochet. And this gives me a good idea of what, does this color, do I need a darker? Do I need a lighter? And so once I saw this on Ophelia's channel, on Anya's channel, I was like, I have to do this. And I'll be honest with you, every border that I can do this, I do it. So I just really enjoy this. It makes me, feel like I can see where I'm going next already. And so I'm just going to do a few here. As I'm sure you get it, we're just doing dainty clusters in the dainty clusters all the way around. See, I kind of get an idea of, what that looks like. And the corners all lined up nice. I'm going to do a few more. So I'm going to pull up my loop pretty big. That way I don't have to worry about it. Because you do start getting, too many strings hanging and it gets to be a little fiddly. And so I like to make sure I'm not going to pull out my strings or my loops. Okay, so then I'm going to go with this third color here. And all of this yarn that I'm using is Stylecraft Special DK. So I'm going to tighten this up. And now I'm going to add what I think is going to be my last color. And so starting in a corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Whoop, wait a minute. I get ahead of myself when I start talking. Okay. All right. So yeah, it does get to be a little bit for yarn management. So I wouldn't recommend going more than 3. I have 4 going and you see what that's doing to me. So, but it's just nice. It's a nice way to do a couple and then you can sit it down and kind of say, okay, do I like this? Is this the color combination I want? Do I need more rows? And I also like that sometimes, I might tend to make blankets that don't come out too large. And then this adds volume to it. And so I just really enjoy that. And so you'll just keep going around and around. When you get to this side, you will slip stitch to join. And then you will finish the next round and slip stitch to join. You'll do the same here. And then you'll come to this one. Now, when you get to this last round, you will slip stitch to join, but then you're going to, I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to make these little loops, which are super simple. Super simple. That's what's fun about this border. It's cute, it's lacy, but super simple. And I'll show you in just a minute how we're going to do those. I'm going to do a few more just to make sure that I've given you a thorough understanding of what you're to do. Dainty clusters all around. Okay, so we're ready to start our last little lacy detail, and it is so simple and easy. We've got, you know, all the rows that you want to do. You can keep adding those dainty clusters, and then you're just going to do, this is so simple, it's single crochets and chain fours, and we're just going to place them into the chain spaces. And so we're just going to do them all the way around. I just thought it gave it a little dainty edge, and so I'm going to try to show you here as if I came all the way back around. I'm going to go into my corner here because you can slip stitch into your corner. Once you come back to slip stitch your join, you slip stitch into your corner, and then you're going to chain 4, and then you're going to just go over to the next chain space and single crochet right there. And that is literally all we're doing. We're chaining 4 and single crochet into the space. And I just thought it just gives it just a little, you could do it in a different color if you wanted. But I just thought it just added a little bit of a lacy lattice detail that kind of really ties in really well with the square. So chain 4 and single crochet into the next space. And that's it. You do that all the way around. I enjoyed so much making this vintage Victorian lattice square blanket, and I hope that you will make it as well. And I really wanted to show you how this isn't a truly invisible seam, as it does give it a little bit of a lacy effect, and you have to be careful with what kind of yarn, what color you use with the yarns that you are, squares that you're joining. But it can be seamless, you just pull it tight. And I had to be so careful with my wanting to add so many layers to the border. I just get a little obsessed with the colors, but it's so much fun and so exciting, and I just really hope that this tutorial will help you and encourage you to try it yourself. I look forward to spending time with you in the next video. Until then, I hope that you see the beauty around you and within you. Bye everyone.